Fate whispers in shadows, a blade poised to strike. Lena, a storm-tempered survivor, fled a past stained with blood. Secrets buried in Newford's underbelly. She's rebuilt herself, fierce and unbroken, chasing a fragile dream. Then a suitcase slips from a stranger's grip. Mr. Callahan, a titan of power, on her way to a life-altering interview. One act of kindness unravels her plans, igniting a chain of events she can't escape. A cryptic message pulls her back into the fray, where ambition and danger collide. Her return will shatter lives, rewrite destinies, and unearth ghosts she swore to forget. Subscribe if you care for the lost. Another tale awaits. The reckoning begins now. The wind howled through Newford's concrete canyons, tugging at Lena's coat as she clutched her resume tighter. Her boots clicked against the pavement, each step a defiant drumbeat against the chaos of her past. She was 26, but her eyes carried decades, haunted, sharp, unyielding. 3 years ago, she'd escaped a life she refused to name, a shadow of violence and betrayal that still clung to her dreams. Newford was her second chance, her proving ground. Today, a job interview at Harper & Dunn Marketing promised a lifeline, an escape from the diner shifts and sleepless nights. She didn't see the man until he stumbled. A suitcase, black leather, scuffed, burst open on the sidewalk, papers scattering like wounded birds. "Damn it," he muttered, his voice low, commanding despite the frustration. Lena froze. He was older, silver threading his dark hair, his suit tailored to a frame that radiated authority. She should have kept walking. Time was bleeding away. 9:45 a.m., 15 minutes until the interview. But his eyes caught hers, piercing, and something in her cracked. "Let me help," she said, kneeling before she could stop herself. The papers were a mess. Contracts, charts, a letterhead reading Callahan Enterprises. Her fingers brushed his as she handed them back, and he studied her, unreadable. "Thank you," he said simply, his tone carrying weight she couldn't place. She nodded, stood, and ran. Too late. The interviewer's assistant barely glanced up. "You're late. Position's filled." Lena's chest tightened, fury and despair clawing at her throat. She'd poured everything into this, every scraped-together dollar, every sleepless hour. Back on the street, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "This is Callahan. Coffee, 2 p.m. Don't be late." Her pulse stuttered. Who was he? Why her? She stared at the message, the city's hum fading to a distant roar. Her past had taught her to run from shadows, but this felt different. Dangerous, magnetic. At 2 p.m., she sat across from him in a dimly lit cafe, the air thick with espresso and unspoken questions. Mr. Callahan, James Callahan, leaned forward, elbows on the table, his gaze dissecting her. "You're not like the others," he said. "Most would have walked by." Lena's jaw tightened. "I don't leave people in trouble." A faint smile ghosted his lips. "Good. I need someone like that." He slid a card across the table. Internship. Callahan Enterprises. Start Monday. Her breath caught. Opportunity dangled before her, but so did a warning. She'd seen men like him before. Powerful, enigmatic, pulling strings she couldn't see. "Why me?" she asked, a voice steady despite the tremor in her gut. His eyes darkened. "Because I see potential, and I don't waste it." That night, alone in her cramped apartment, Lena stared at the card. Her past whispered, "Trust no one. Run while you can." But she was tired of running. She'd take the chance. Fight for it. What she didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that Callahan's world held secrets darker than her own. And she just stepped into the eye of the storm. Lena's first day at Callahan Enterprises began with a jolt of adrenaline and a flicker of dread. The building loomed over Newford's skyline, a glass monolith reflecting the city's restless pulse. She smoothed her borrowed blazer, secondhand but sharp, and stepped into the lobby. Marble floors gleamed under chandeliers. The air buzzed with purpose. A receptionist with a clipped smile handed her a badge. "Floor 42. Mr. Callahan's waiting." Lena's stomach twisted. She wasn't ready for this. Not the height, not the stakes, but she'd faked confidence before. The elevator ride was silent, save for the hum of a scent. When the door slid open, Callahan stood there, hands in his pockets, his presence filling the room. "Welcome," he said, voice smooth as steel. He gestured to a glass-walled office, where a team of sleek suits glanced up, their eyes assessing her like wolves sizing up prey. "This is Lena," he announced. "She's with us now." No questions, no hesitation, just a decree. Her first task was simple: shadow him. Meetings blurred into a whirlwind. Strategy sessions, client calls, a pitch for a multi-million-dollar campaign. Callahan moved like a conductor, every word precise, every glance calculated. Lena scribbled notes, her mind racing to keep up. But beneath his polish, she caught glimpses. Tension in his jaw, a shadow in his stare. He was hiding something. She knew the signs. She'd lived them. At noon, he pulled her aside. "You're quiet," he said, leaning against his desk. "Thoughts?" She hesitated, then met his gaze. "You're good at this. Too good. Makes me wonder what's underneath." His laugh was sharp, unexpected. "Bold. I like that." He handed her a folder. Project Phoenix. "Read it. Tell me what you think by tomorrow." That night, Lena pored over the file in her dim apartment, the city's neon glow seeping through cracked blinds. Project Phoenix was ambitious, a rebrand for a failing tech giant, high stakes, tight deadline. But the numbers didn't add up. Budgets shifted, names redacted. Her gut churned. She'd seen shady deals before, back when she ran with people who thrived in the dark. Was Callahan testing her, or dragging her into something worse? The next morning she faced him. "It's brilliant," she said, voice steady, "but it's incomplete. What aren't you telling me?" His eyes narrowed, a flicker of surprise, or respect, crossing his face. "You're sharp," he said. "Most don't ask." He leaned closer, voice dropping. "There's a client. Difficult. Dangerous even. I need someone I can trust." Her pulse spiked. Trust. The word felt like a loaded gun. Days bled into weeks. Lena threw herself into the work, brainstorming, drafting, proving her worth. Callahan mentored her with a mix of rigor and warmth, praising her instincts, pushing her limits. She flourished, her ideas sparking life into Project Phoenix. But the unease grew. Late-night calls he wouldn't explain. A locked drawer she caught him opening once, his hands trembling. And the dreams, her past clawing back, faces she'd buried screaming her name. One evening, alone in the office, she found a note slipped under her keyboard. "Watch him. He's not what he seems." No signature. Her breath hitched. She'd escaped danger once, rebuilt from ash. Now it was circling again, wearing a suit and a smile. She crumpled the note, heart pounding. Callahan appeared in the doorway, his silhouette framed by the city's glow. "Late night?" he asked, casual but probing. "Yeah," she lied, forcing a smile. "Just finishing up." He nodded, but his eyes lingered, searching, knowing. As he walked away, Lena's resolve hardened. She'd play his game, uncover his secrets. But she wouldn't fall. Not again. The storm was closing in, and she'd face it head-on, even if it broke her. Lena's world tilted as the weeks unfurled, each day a tightrope walk between ambition and suspicion. Callahan Enterprises became her battlefield, every meeting a skirmish, every smile a calculated strike. She was good at this. Damn good. Her ideas for Project Phoenix turned heads. The team buzzed with her energy. Callahan's praise was sparse but potent, a rare nod that lit a fire in her chest. Yet the note, "Watch him. He's not what he seems," gnawed at her, a splinter she couldn't pull free. She started watching closer. His late-night exits, the hushed calls in empty corridors, the way his charm hardened into something colder when he thought no one saw. One afternoon, she lingered after a briefing, catching him slip a flash drive into that locked drawer. Her breath caught. She'd seen moves like that before. Back when she ran with thieves, liars, people who'd sell your soul for a dime. Was he one of them? That night she stayed late, the office a graveyard of flickering lights. Her hands shook as she jimmied the drawer open, skills from a life she'd sworn off. Inside the drive, a photo of a man she didn't know, and a list of names. One jumped out, Victor Renko, her blood iced. Renko was a ghost from her past, a brutal enforcer she'd crossed years ago. She'd barely escaped him, left him bleeding in an alley. Had he found her? Was Callahan tied to him? She snapped a photo of the list, shoved everything back, and fled. At home, she paced, the city's hum a dull roar against her racing thoughts. Her phone buzzed. Callahan. Meet me, now warehouse district. No explanation. Her gut screamed trap, but her feet moved anyway. She grabbed a knife, old habits, and went. The warehouse stank of rust and oil, shadows pooling under broken skylights. Callahan waited alone, his suit swapped for a leather jacket. You're late, he said, voice clipped. Had to be sure you'd come. She gripped the knife in her pocket. What's this about? He stepped closer, eyes glinting. Renko, he's back, and he's after me. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Why should I care? She snapped. He exhaled sharp. Because he's after you too. I know who you are, Lena. What you've done. The air thickened, her past crashing into the present. I pulled you in to protect you, he said, and to use you. You're a fighter. I need that. She laughed, bitter and raw. You don't know me. But he did. Too much. He handed her the flash drive. Proof. Renko's targeting my company. You're on his list. Help me stop him, and I'll make you untouchable. She stared at the drive, her mind a storm. Trust him? Run? Fight? Her old self clawed up, ruthless, ready. Back home, she plugged in the drive. Files spilled open. Photos. Deals. Renko's network. And there she was. A grainy shot from 3 years ago. Blood on her hands, eyes wild. Callahan hadn't lied. Renko was hunting. But why him? What tied them? She dug deeper, finding a name. Elena Markov. Her real name. Buried deep. Callahan knew everything. Dawn broke, gray and heavy. Her phone rang. Anonymous. A voice rasped, You can't hide, little bird. Renko. She dropped the phone, chest heaving. Callahan's offer loomed. Ally or pawn? She'd survived once by running. Now running wasn't enough. She'd fight, unravel this mess, even if it tore her apart. The game had shifted, and she was all in. Lena's apartment felt like a cage, the walls pressing in as Renko's voice echoed in her skull. You can't hide, little bird. She hadn't slept, hadn't eaten. The flash drive sat on her table, a Pandora's box of secrets she couldn't unsee. Her face, Elena Markov, stared back from that grainy photo, a snapshot of the night she'd fled. She'd been a runner then, a shadow slipping through cracks. Now she was cornered, and Callahan held the leash. She met him at noon, a diner on the city's edge. Grease-stained booths, flickering neon. He looked worn, stubble darkening his jaw, eyes hollow. You're in, he said, no question. She slid the drive across the table. Tell me everything. No games. His fingers drummed, then stilled. Renko was my partner. Years ago, we built this company. Dirty money, blood money. I got out. He didn't. Her stomach churned. And me? Callahan's gaze softened, almost tender. You were collateral. Renko lost a deal because of you. 3 years back. He's never forgotten. She remembered that night, stealing from Renko's crew, a desperate grab for freedom. She hadn't known the stakes. He's coming for us both, Callahan said. I need you to finish what you started. The plan was reckless. Bait Renko, expose him, dismantle his network. Lena's role, draw him out. Her past made her the perfect lure. She wanted to laugh, scream, run. Instead, she nodded. I'm not your pawn, she warned. He smirked, faint. Number, you're my weapon. Days blurred into a haze of preparation. Callahan drilled her, codes, signals, escape routes. The team sensed the shift, whispers trailing her like smoke. She threw herself into Project Phoenix, a mask of normalcy. But her nights were spent mapping Renko's moves. The list from the drawer burned in her mind. Names tied to him, to Callahan, to her. One stood out, Maria Solis. A friend from her old life, vanished after that bloody night. Was she alive? Dead? Another ghost to haunt her? The trap was set for Friday, midnight, in abandoned factory. Lena stood in the dark, breath shallow, knife strapped to her thigh. Callahan flanked her, silent, a gun in his hand. She hated this, hated him, hated herself, but the fire in her gut wouldn't let her back down. Headlights sliced the night. Renko emerged tall and scarred, his grin a jagged wound. "Little bird," he purred, "and the traitor." Words gave way to chaos. Renko's men lunged. Callahan fired. Lena moved on instinct, blade flashing, blood hot on her hands. She fought like the girl she'd been, feral, unstoppable. Renko pinned her, his grip iron. "You owe me," he snarled. She spat in his face, twisted free, and Callahan's shot grazed him. He fled, roaring threats, leaving bodies in his wake. They stumbled out, bruised and alive. Callahan gripped her shoulder. "You're incredible." She shoved him off, shaking. "Don't touch me." Back home, she scrubbed the blood away, sobs breaking loose. Maria's name looped in her head. Lost, maybe gone. Callahan's war wasn't hers, but it was now. She'd exposed Renko, but he'd slithered away. The fight wasn't over. Her phone buzzed. Callahan. "We're close. Don't quit." She stared at the screen, tears blurring it. She'd lost too much to stop. Her old self, her peace, maybe Maria. But she'd gained something too. Purpose, raw and jagged. She'd end this for herself, for the ghosts, even if it broke her first. Lena stood at the precipice, the city sprawling below like a battlefield scarred by her choices. Renko's escape gnawed at her, a wound that wouldn't close. She'd tasted blood again, felt the old Elena Markov clawing free. Ruthless. Alive. Callahan's war had become hers, but the cost was piling up. Sleepless nights, Maria's ghost, the fragile hope she'd built in Newford crumbling under the weight. She couldn't run anymore. She wouldn't. Callahan tracked Renko to a penthouse downtown, his last stronghold. "One shot," he told her, voice rough. "We end this, or he ends us." She saw the cracks in him now. Guilt, fear, a man drowning in his own past. She hated him still, but she understood. They armed up, a grim pact forged in silence. The team stayed behind. This was personal. The penthouse was a fortress, glass and steel, guards at every choke point. Lena moved like a shadow, knife in hand, Callahan covering her with steady shots. They fought floor by floor, a brutal dance of survival. Her muscles screamed, her mind razor sharp. Renko waited at the top, a king on his throne, his scarred face lit by the city's glow. "You're persistent," he sneered. "Like a cockroach." She lunged, he parried. Callahan fired, missed. Renko's fist cracked her jaw, stars bursting in her vision. She hit the floor, tasting copper, but rolled up, slashing his thigh. He roared, staggering. Callahan tackled him, and they grappled, two titans of betrayal locked in a death grip. Lena circled, waiting for her moment. It came when Renko pinned Callahan, a blade at his throat. She struck, knife deep in Renko's side. He collapsed, gasping, eyes wide with shock. Callahan kicked the blade away, panting. "Finish it," he rasped. Lena stared at Renko, her past bleeding out on the floor. She'd killed before, but this felt different, final. "No," she said, voice steady. "He's done." She turned away, leaving him to fate. Callahan followed, silent, a weight lifting between them. Days later, Project Phoenix launched, a triumph born from chaos. Lena led it, her vision shining through the wreckage. The team cheered. Callahan watched from the sidelines, a rare smile breaking his mask. She won an award, Rising Star, and stood on stage, heart pounding, the girl from the shadows now in the light. But the moment was bittersweet. Maria's name still echoed, unanswered. She dug into the list from Callahan's drawer, found a lead. Maria, alive, hiding in a coastal town. Lena drove through the night, tears streaking her face. They reunited on a windswept beach, Maria's embrace warm and real. "I thought you were gone," Lena sobbed. "Never," Maria whispered. They talked for hours, piecing together lost years, healing old wounds. Back in Newford, Lena took Callahan's offer, project manager, her own team. He mentored her still, But as equals now, their trust hard won. She reflected on that suitcase, that split-second kindness. It had unraveled her life, then rebuilt it stronger. Inspired, she launched a mentorship program, Phoenix Rising, for kids like she'd been. Lost, fighting, deserving of a chance. Standing in her office, city lights painting the night, Lena smiled. Soft, real. The past would always scar her, but it no longer owned her. She'd faced the storm, broken and remade herself. And in giving back, she found peace. The shadows had lifted, and she was free.